From beautiful Jerusalem, welcome to this week's episode of Something for Shabbos on the Schmoozing podcast channel with me, David Goodwin, and Rabbi Menachem Salasnik. This may well be my favourite parsha.
Oh, okay. Why is that?
Because it's about the land of Israel. My bar mitzvah is 𝗿𝗿𝗺. So that's probably, naturally it's like my favourite because it's the one that falls under, was my bar mitzvah. But Shelach is all about elevating in our mind the place of Eretz Yisrael and how important it is when we don't think and speak of it in the right way.
Yeah.
And I just think it's telling for the rest of history. So Shelach, what have you got?
So as you quite rightly said, the main body of the parsha is about the spies that were sent to search out the land. We were basically ready to enter. Mm-hmm. They went to have a look. Lots of things happened, mainly for their benefit, but they misread it. And they came back and they gave a negative report. The whole Jewish people cried. 10 of the 12 gave a negative report. The Jewish people cried, and Hashem said, if you're not ready for it, you're going to have to stay. And we ended up staying an extra, probably in total it was 40 years in the desert, but probably a further 38 and a half years in the desert after that before we were able to enter. And that generation, almost nobody in that generation got to enter the land of Israel.
And that night became a night forever.
That's right.
And a day in 𝗍𝗶𝗵, yeah.
That's right. That day is 𝗍𝗶𝗵 and continues to be, throughout our history, a time of tremendous
concern,
destruction, pain.
They say auspicious.
Yeah.
Probably a good word that rounds it all up. Okay, so again, another parsha which feeds into your book because it's about Lashon Hara.
The truth is, like last week we were talking about Miriam, and the sages sort of start discussing this parsha, saying, you know, couldn't they look back?
Right.
Couldn't they see what happened to Miriam? She only spoke about her brother. In fact, there was some good purpose there. There were just reasons that it was problematic. She didn't fulfill all of the conditions to speak about somebody for a constructive purpose. Surely they should have learned, look back. This is what happens if you speak negatively.
It was only a week ago.
Exactly the timing in real terms, I don't know, but yes, obviously, a week ago for us. But they should have looked, right. You know.
Learn your lessons.
Yeah. But as you said, this, you know, we are the generation, our parents' generation, our generation, we are the generation who we've got back. We're here. And when we hear people complaining about this land, complaining about the people of the land, even more so, but complaining about the land, it's very, very problematic. You know, this is a gift. You know, there's a famous joke about a Jewish mother gives her son 2 ties as a present.
Nice.
Okay. And the son, you know, grown-up son who lives somewhere else, the son hears that the mother's coming to visit, so he quickly rushes to get one of the ties. He puts it on, so, you know, as he opens the door, the mother sees he's wearing the tie, and she says, and what was wrong with the other one?
Brilliant. All very Jewish.
Right. So we've got this thing. Why are we searching for things to complain? Hashem has given us a gift. Hashem has given us a direct gift. Why are we complaining about it? I have to tell you a story that I heard from Rabbi 𝗍𝗿𝗺𝗵𝗵𝗺, who is the son of Rabbi 𝗵𝗵𝗺. Yeah. He told me this story when Rabbi Alan 𝗵𝗵𝗺 and his brother were young and in yeshiva. So Rabbi Alan 𝗵𝗵𝗺 was, I think, in Kol Torah, and his brother, I believe, was in HaKotel. Okay. 2 yeshivas in Jerusalem. And because they were, you know, not too far away, I think they arranged once a week, maybe on Friday, don't remember exactly where, to meet up and do some learning. Now, the 𝗵𝗵𝗺's parents had moved, I believe, to Haifa, and one Shabbat, Rabbi Alan Kimchi's brother, went to spend Shabbat with his parents. And as part of the story, part of the meal, he's just chatting and he's saying, "Oh, I forgot to tell you, I've got a new learning session with Alan." And suddenly he sees his mother crying her eyes out, and he says, "Mom, what did I say? You know, what happened? You know, did I say something to upset you, to offend you?" So she said, "No, not at all.
The opposite."
But if you were to ask me, could I ever have imagined that my two sons would be learning Torah together in Jerusalem? You know, for 2,000 years we've been crying over this.
Right.
Who could ever have dreamt it? Who could ever have dreamt this? That this would actually happen, that we would be able to live here in this land after 2,000 years of crying, of wandering Jew from one place to the other, and we're finally back. That has to be our focus. Yes, of course, not everything is perfect. We know that. Mashiach still isn't here, but our focus has to be, look at what we've got. Look at what we've been given. We're not supposed to be complaining about the weather in Israel. We're not supposed to be complaining about the food in Israel. We're not supposed to be complaining about the roads in Israel. We're not supposed to be complaining about Misrad HaPnim in Israel, even though there probably is a lot to complain about. That's not what we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to be appreciating the present that we've been given.
There's always a space, though, for constructive criticism. It's like maybe differentiate between a complaint and a productive comment.
100%. Even in real lashon hara, when we're talking about lashon hara about people, there's something called lashon hara 𝗄𝗏𝗏, for a constructive purpose. When the focus is on something getting better, obviously we need to identify the issue so we can then make it better. The problem is that so often, in theory, there's something constructive, but there isn't really. Because if you were to turn to the person who's complaining and say, "Okay then, thank you for highlighting that. Let's sit down and brainstorm how we can make it better." Or, "What steps are you going to take now to try and make the situation better?" Suddenly they disappear.
So you're saying it's really coming as a dig?
Yeah.
Even if it's veiled as a constructive... But sometimes it isn't.
And if it is a real constructive purpose, then that person will be willing to jump in and help you change it. Or at least sit down and brainstorm. "Okay, thank you so much for that. Let's sit down and brainstorm and work out how we can make it better." And that's great.
It's like a complaint lishma.
Yes.
Not,
and as soon as it's lishma, as soon as it's for, you know, the greater good, so then this is something positive. You know, you have to identify it. In the 12-step program, I think the first step of getting out of addiction is identifying that there is a problem.
Admission.
Okay? Yeah. Without that admission, you're not going to be able to build. You need to realize there's an issue. So, of course, that if it's part of a program to get out of whatever the situation is or improve it, it needs to be identified. But so often that the focus is actually on the complaint and the negativity just because we love that. So many people love that. We love criticizing. When you criticize something that's been chosen as a direct present, obviously God gives us everything, but the land is a direct present for us. There's a rabbi who deals with the laws of the land. He told me a beautiful idea. You know that the land is praised for having 7 fruit, right? So chitas, white wheat, barley, geffen, grapes, dates.
Not spelt, not kusmin.
No. Olives and figs and pomegranates. Okay, these 7 things, and it's what's so special? I mean, if I was to go to any other country, I'm sure they would have their thing. He said, now I don't know anything about farming, but this is what he said. He said to me that if you look at those 7 things, they need completely different environments to grow.
Right.
And it's not just that it's the combination of these 7 things demonstrate that this land has everything. It's got every type of environment. It's got the hills of the Galil. It's got the mountains of the Golan. It's got the plains of the center. It's got the desert areas. It's got the sea. It's got the Dead Sea, right? It's got so many different environments. And you'll see grapes grow in this area, but figs don't. You've got to go out to the Galil for the figs. Okay, so the fact it's got the combination of these 7 types of fruit in one small area demonstrates it's got everything. It's even got the snow in the 𝗄𝗯𝗯𝗶. You've got every type of environment inside this, because this is a land that's packed with everything. Hashem has taken everything that exists in the world, even oil they found in our sea eventually. It took us a ton of time, but everything good in this world has been packed into this tiny, tiny, tiny country. We need to appreciate that. And if we spend our time focusing on that, our love for the land will grow. And when we need to deal with issues, it will come from a point of love and of this deep-seated respect for our people and our land and our God. And then only goodness will come from it, rather than this constant complaining.
I said in our long podcast that we did, it wasn't that long, it's just over an hour, but I asked you about the link between Mashiach and Shmirat halashon. It seems that if we could picture an ideal world, it would be a world where blissfully everyone would have self-control. I heard Rabbi Wein said, I think 80-90% of Judaism is self-control.
Oh yeah.
Right? And it makes sense, because when you think about when you speak wrong or you do wrong, it's because momentarily you've lost control. But it's interesting that the speech element and self-control, and then what comes out negatively from negative speech, or even positive speech that's said to the wrong person in the wrong, all these different things, results in so much disharmony and disunity. It really seems like it's at the crux of everything. The more I speak to you and learn and read the book and stuff and just think about it more, it seems like Shmirat halashon is hugely the core of it all.
I agree with you. And perhaps the way you can see that the best is that God creates the world through speech. Everything that is created was created through speech. Now, God doesn't have a mouth. What exactly it means when it says that God spoke, you have to go to the deep Kabbalistic sources to have a look. But assuming that we are created in God's image and we have the ability to speak, so that means in the same way as he creates through speech, we create through speech. What are we creating? We're creating realities. The world out there believes that words are just words, okay? You know, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Sticks and stones, they do real stuff in this world, but words, it's not. Words build and destroy in a real way. And in the same way as he created everything with speech, we who are in his image can do the same. So yeah, when we're speaking well, we're focused on positivity, speaking well to people to build them up, speaking well about people to create harmony and brotherlyhood.
Speaking well about Israel.
Speaking well about Israel, so that we have this deep connection. When all of that's going, so then we're building this world. We're building this world towards its completion. And when we're using the very power that could build to destroy, that creates tremendous distraction.
This show is brought to you by Dream Digital Art, the place to buy the coolest Jewish and Israel-related art pieces and products. As a schmoozing podcast fan, you'll get 10% off your online order with the promo code shmooze10.